Hi, welcome to DataWitzz. My name is Istava, and in this video we will learn about two different functions in SQL. The first is pivot, how to pivot data in SQL, and second is unpivot. So what exactly pivot is? So to understand this pivot, we will first use our table pivot training. When we run this, we find that the values in this are like this. So we have an ID, then customer ID, then product code, then quantity. Now if we wanted to move this data, product data, in columns, and quantity should be in the values, and the rows should be like customer ID. If I can show you that I wanted to put my data like customer ID, then product should be 1 2 3, then product names, and here the customer different IDs, and here the values. So we need to use the pivot function to make it in that way. So what we will do, we will select the columns, that is the customer ID, then product code, then quantity from pivot table. This is the pivot training table, and we will leave this ID. We will not use that. After this, we will use pivot, and then we will use a bracket. And now if we wanted to use the count, then we will use count of the quantity, or we can use sum, or even we can use average of these values. So right now we are using sum of these values because the customer ID will be here. If there are two different customer IDs and same product, then it will sum the values. And I will name this as a sum quantity. And then after the column names I have defined for this DA, it will be a DA, DB for DB, DC for DC, DD for DD. Now I will run this, and we can see that this customer IDs now has a unique value 101, 102, 103, 104, and these values has become sum, and this sum quantity that I have given here has been prefixed by the product name DA underscore sum quantity. Even I can use this as a count and can run this. Here we see that wherever there is value that gives the count, all of them are single entry, and wherever there is no values were available, it gives 0 as a value. Same as we can use average, so it gives the average values. So that is how we are creating pivot in SQL. Now let's suppose that the value is already in this form and we wanted to change it in this form. So we will use unpivot. So let us understand how this unpivot works. We have taken a data in unpivot training table. So here we have customer ID, product code with AB, product code AC, product code AD, A. Now I will use select from unpivot table, then unpivot. Now I will put quantity. A new column name will be quantity for product code, and then I put the name as product code AB as AB, product code AC as AC, product code AD as AD, and product code AE as AE. So now there will be how many columns? 1, 2, 3, 4 columns will be available. One will be ID, second will be customer ID, third will be product name, that means product code, and fifth will be quantity. Now run this. Now here we see that we have 4 different columns: ID, then customer ID, then the product name, and then the quantity. Unpivot is just the opposite of pivot. So first we did the pivot. First my value was like this, so I changed this in a different form. We used different columns by the name of product code. So we change it like this. Now if I have the value in this form, then I will use unpivot, and that will change like this. So actually the value was in this form, now it has been changed like this. So that is how this pivot and unpivot works. I hope this video helps you understand about pivot or unpivot. You can read my article also in my blog, that also helps to understand this. Thank you for watching our video. Please like this video and share with all others also.